In the early 2000s, the 3D platformer genre was starting to get a bit oversaturated. There were tons of different games on different consoles with different wannabe mascots. Naughty Dog would have to do something to stick out from the crowd, and the inspiration for their next game would come from the most unlikely of places. Would this be the right step for not only the series but Naughty Dog to take, or would Jak 2 be too far removed from what made the first game so great?
So yeah, today I'm looking at Jak 2, one of my favourite games of all time from the PS2 era. I'm going to keep this intro quite short, but what I wanted to do was shout out OPENGOAL. This is the program software that I've been using to play Jak 2 natively on the Steam Deck, and you can do it on PC as well. I just wanted to shout it out because it's such a mad concept that they've been able to bring to life. This is Jak 1 and 2 running natively off PC. It's been sort of ported over by the whole community over there at OPENGOAL. I'll leave a link down below if you want to check it out for yourself, but that's why this gameplay looks so good and a lot better than the Jak and Daxter gameplay did in the last video, which if you haven't checked that video out as well, please go and check that out. I also have a second channel now, so if you want to go and check that out as well, got a lot of links going on in the description today, but yeah, please go and check all that out. But like I said, I'm going to keep this intro quite short. So without further ado, let's get straight in to Jak 2. Development for Jak 2 started straight after the first game's release in 2001. Naughty Dog weren't happy with just making a follow-up to the first game. They wanted to give players a completely new experience, opting for a more mature game overall. Jak 2 would take a lot of inspiration from the open world game Grand Theft Auto 3, while still trying to keep the game's platformer DNA at the core of the gameplay. Along with the fact that Naughty Dog now had a few more years with the PS2 hardware, meant that the next game in the series would not only look better, but also be more open and expansive than ever before. Jak 2, or Jak 2 Renegade in PAL regions for some reason. I literally can't find an explanation for this anywhere. I guess this is just the cool version of the game. Anyway, it was released in October of 2003 in the West and early 2004 in Japan.
No, he's not part of the tour.
This world is better left to Jak, rated T for Teen.
Let's go take care of business.
The story of Jak 2 picks up a short time after the first game. The two main characters, alongside Samos and Kira, are working on some sort of portal device. Once opened, it teleports them to a strange, futuristic world known as Haven City, a dark dystopian future which is set 500 years after the events of the original game. As soon as they arrive, Jak is captured, whilst Daxter flees the scene. I wonder what he'll get up to all by himself. I guess we'll never know. 2 years later, Jak has been in prison the whole time by the game's main antagonist, Baron Praxis, who I can't take seriously because of his voice actor.
You should at least be dead with all the dark eco I've pumped into you.
It's Mr. fucking Krabs.
What now? Metalhead armies are pressing their attacks. Without a new weapon, my men cannot hold them off forever.
I like money.
Yeah, no, I can't do this. Jak has been pumped with so much dark eco, it's made him a bit of an edgy teenager. Look, he's even got a goatee and everything. Daxter breaks him out, and this is where the journey begins for Jak 2. I'm not going to spoil too much of the plot, but just try to give you the setup, in case you were wondering how we went from this
Up me catch! No matter what I try, I can't seem to catch a single fish in this river.
Woo! Maybe it's your breath.
to this.
I'm gonna kill Praxis!
Shh! Right now, we gotta get you out of here. Just let me figure out how to open the security locks on the chair so I can... Or, you could do it. Jak, easy now.
In my Jak and Daxter video, I said this about its story. It is a pretty standard story for a 3D platformer. That is definitely not the case in Jak 2. The main focus of the game is its story, with every mission and objective being tied into the story and its characters. Speaking of characters, this game introduces way more than the original. Previously there was about 4 or 5 characters who were actually involved in the story. This time round, almost every character you do a mission for is involved in the main plot. It's also kind of funny how the game is set up like a GTA game. You start off by doing jobs for a small-time criminal, who introduces you to people higher up to take on the main antagonist.
Hey my youth, some boy them dip on the corner and thing and the boy them sell some things and thing and I go on and I say, oh, them don't want to give me my money and thing and every corner my corner and I want my money and thing, you know.
The cutscenes still have that same charm that the previous games had, with the addition of Jak now being fully voiced. Daxter is still there as the comedic sidekick, with this game having a lot more jokes and humour in its cutscenes.
Cool, check out all the dead stuff.
Ow! Touch the goods again, rat boy, and you'll be counting with your toes. I am Pecker. Yes, I know. My mother, she was
Very vindictive.
The game has a perfect balance of not taking itself too seriously, whilst also making the story way more meaningful, full of twists and turns and secrets, making the world of Jak and Daxter way more deep with lore than ever before. At its core, the gameplay hasn't changed much from the previous game. All the movement and attacks used are carried over, but the major changes come in the form of weapons and vehicles, now being a major part of the gameplay loop. An important thing to note is that all the different types of eco from before are no longer a part of the game, except for Dark Eco, which rather than harming you is now used to power Jak's Dark Eco variant. After filling up the Dark Eco meter, you get the chance to use Jak's Dark powers for a limited time to take out waves of enemies in the matter of seconds. It only lasts a small amount of time, but does come in handy in the more enemy heavy areas. Over time you also unlock different moves to use to help take out the enemies quicker. It doesn't change the gameplay massively, and it's not something you get to use a whole lot, but still can help to get you out of some sticky situations. Just make sure you're not near a cliff edge. Like I said, the biggest changes in the game come in the form of weapons and vehicles. Seeing as the game is set so far in the future, guns and futuristic vehicles become a major part of the gameplay loop.
Oh, and I wonder where they got that. Would you give it a rest a bit, Ratchet and Clank? I'm not playing it.
Let's start with the weapons. Throughout the game you unlock 4 variants for the morph gun, all having different characteristics and uses. For example, the red weapon mod acts like a shotgun, taking out big groups of enemies at close range, whilst the yellow version feels like a rifle, equipped with a laser sight to take out enemies a bit further away. The weapons become a massive part of the game's combat, with you also having to use them to get to certain platforms and also being able to string combos together with Jak's melee attacks. The only problem I have with the weapons though is the aiming. The best way to describe it is by saying Stevie Wonder would probably have a better hit rate than Jak. The game automatically aims the weapon for you, which is fine with the shotgun mod, but with the mods that need more of a precise shot, sometimes it takes Jak a few attempts to even get near the enemy, which in a game where it feels like you have to be an inch perfect to get through missions can be quite frustrating. I just wish the game had a more of a precise aiming system in place, similar to Ratchet and Clank.
Alright, what do you want now? No. Don't mind me. You just carry on. Just say what you're about to say. I just wish the game had a more precise aiming system in place, like Ratchet and Clank. Happy now? That's all I needed to hear. Right then. I'll see you later.
It's not only the weapons that can be frustrating, the vehicles can also cause some wanting to twat your controller through the TV moments. The vehicles feel very clunky and hard to manoeuvre, which is especially hard going through the more narrow parts of the map. You end up smashing into every wall and vehicle you pass, which is only made more frustrating when certain missions, especially ones with a timer, really don't leave much room for mistakes to be made. The vehicles do have a cool mechanic though. Using the R2 button you can switch the height the vehicle hovers at, helping dodge and weave through traffic, making for some fun pursuits through the city, especially whilst being chased by the cops. Yeah, there's a wanted level in this game. Oh, and you can also perform drive-by shootings with Daxter holding the gun. Can't believe in 2 years we went from this to this. Okay, I may have added the music to the Jak 2 gameplay for dramatic effect, but you get the idea. When talking about the visuals, it's important to note that the gameplay you're seeing has been recorded with the use of OPENGOAL, a program which a bunch of talented people have made to fully port the Jak and Daxter trilogy over to PC, meaning this isn't being emulated on my Steam Deck, it's running natively off it. The reason I bring this up is because the game obviously looks so much better than it ever did in the past, but still, I'm going to try and judge it on how it looked back then, and to be honest with you, it still holds up today. It's really hard to compare to the last game because of how drastic a change the tone and vibe of both games are. Jak 2 is way more dark and gritty compared to the original's bright and vibrant worlds, but it's still clear to see much effort was put into making the world and characters to push the PS2 to its absolute limits, with the game having tons of NPCs running around, with tons of vehicles flying around every corner, all whilst exploring a detailed world with tons of different locations and districts having their own distinct look. Overall, Jak 2 looks and plays great, just like its predecessor. It's still great to pick up and play over 20 years later. It's still visually impressive, and even though some of the new mechanics can be frustrating at times, I can't deny it's still been a blast to play through. If you look up Jak 2 online, the general consensus is that the game is really difficult, and even though I don't disagree, it really isn't that hard, but my god, it is fucking tedious. The amount of times I've failed the mission because of the clunky vehicles or the unfair enemy attacks that you can't escape is unreal. And you match that with no checkpoints and having to start the whole mission over again, it just makes it feel tedious. Not impossible. I never thought I couldn't complete a mission, just a lot of time that made me feel like this.
Get more cruisers in here! Please!
I've spoken about the weapons and vehicles already, but the other thing that doesn't make the missions easier is health and pickups. You get a decent amount of health, but for some reason, after you get hit and Jak starts flashing, you think you have a bit of time to recover and sort yourself out, but it lasts a millisecond before attacks start damaging you again, which wouldn't be a problem because you have these red crates for health and ammo, but 90% of the time, it's mostly ammo, which I rarely needed filling, so I spent some missions just blasting the shotgun just to defend myself from getting hit again, because I had 1 bar of health, but a shit ton of ammo left. Okay, rant over. The game's not that difficult. There are a few hard missions that stick out, but for the most part, the missions themselves are actually quite fun. The game has a lot of versatility when it comes to what you'll be doing. No more collecting orbs or power cells. Instead, most missions are set up similar to, get this, a GTA game. Go into markers on the map to start the missions, to progress through the story, and there's a lot of variety, whether that be picking up packages around the city whilst being chased by police, or visiting one of the locations outside the city to do some classic platforming, similar to the previous game. There's even a hoverboard you have to learn to do tricks on, similar to a Tony Hawk's game, which was also quite popular at the time. Jak 2 rarely gets dull, with every new mission giving you something completely different to do and locations to explore. It gives you that feeling of wanting to always do just one more mission to see what you would be doing next or how the story would progress. Even though the game is an absolute pain in the arse to get through, I've got to admit it was pretty fun to do so. Oh, and long as well. The last game could be done in like 4 hours, this game takes about 7 or 8. That's if your TV and controller survive the dodgy mechanics. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of hard to compare Jak 2 to the previous game, as they offer 2 completely different worlds. The original had the classic 3D platformer setup, a few hub worlds with different locations dotted around, offering different surroundings and enemies, whereas this game is mostly based within the walls of Haven City, meaning you don't get the same colourful and varied locales like the original, but instead you get one location that has mostly the same vibe and atmosphere. Now this isn't a bad thing, developers have done an amazing job telling a story with just the map itself. It's supposed to be dark and depressing because it's a dystopian future, which makes it less fun to look at than the previous game, but it's still a really impressive open world, and it was Naughty Dog's first attempt at one also. Every detail of the city has been carefully crafted. The buildings in the slum area are all close together, with the streets being tight due to the city being overpopulated because of the metalheads taking over more of the outskirts of the city walls. The NPCs walking around look quite fed up as well, whilst also having the Crimson Guards being around every corner, barking orders at everyone. Speaking of the guards, they only ever react to you if you attack them directly, not if you harm the pedestrians, which these chases are probably one of the most iconic parts of the game for me. The music that plays, the way every single guard will chase you, the turrets popping out of the ground, speeding through the tight streets and switching between the heights you hover at whilst they constantly chase and shoot at you, really does make you feel like, well, a renegade. I've finally come full circle. There are a few other locations dotted around the city, all with their distinct look. You have the shanty towns, the stadium area, the marketplace, the docks. Haven City actually has a lot of distinct areas to see, but to be honest with you, there's not a lot to just go and explore. Most of the time you'll just be passing all this by whilst going from mission to mission. There's not much in terms of side activities and collectibles to slow the pace down a bit and explore the city. There are a few locations outside the city walls which offer different areas to explore. Whilst most of them have the same vibe as the main city, they offer different ways of playing and are more open. One of them even resembles the type of level you'd see in the previous game. I need to just touch on the soundtrack as well. It's crazy how much some of the game's music has stuck with me over the years, especially the pursuit music. All the tracks sound very similar to each other, having the same sort of instruments and sounds. It all sounds very industrial, they all sound like some sort of machine, adding to the atmosphere of Haven City. Each track is matched perfectly to the locations and scenarios you find yourself in, whether that's the pursuit music I've already mentioned, or the music that plays in the sewers mission. All of it just works so well. Overall, on the surface, the world of Jak 2 seems a lot more bland and uninteresting than not only the previous game but other games in the genre. But what you actually get is more of a mature world with a darker vibe that matches the story and characters perfectly. And I've just realised something. Jak 2 released in 2003 and it's a sequel which takes place years after the original, set in a dystopian city with guards on every corner. The main antagonist is making a deal with weird alien creatures while watching over in a big tower which overlooks the city. Hold on a minute.
I don't think you're ready for that amount of truth in one video.
Naughty Dog took a big risk when it came to Jak 2, going from the fun, bright and quirky worlds in their previous games to a more dark and gritty feel. I can't help but think this game is the reason why the developers would become so well known for their storytelling and detailed worlds in years to come, with games like Uncharted and The Last of Us. This game isn't just a platformer, it has so much going for it in terms of gameplay and storytelling, which meant going back to it over 20 years later was still such a fun experience. Not only did Jak 2 change the franchise, it also changed the future of Naughty Dog, and that's why it's one of the most important games in their history.
So that is it for today, and of course I've got to put Jak 2 in the tier list, and it's going in S tier. I mean, it's one of my favourite games of all time. It is quite difficult, it does get a bit tedious, it does get a bit annoying, but I can't deny it's an amazing game. Like, it took a basic 3D platformer, which, let's face it, Jak and Daxter is just a basic 3D platformer, and turned it on its head and took a massive risk, and it paid off really well, in my opinion anyway. I think the open world, the change in gameplay overall, having an open world sandbox game instead of just a generic 3D platformer, but also having those 3D platform routes within the game, it works so well, and I love the game. So yeah, it's going in S tier. But yeah, that is it for today. I've had a lot of fun playing Jak 2. I'm about to move on to Jak 3, which I haven't actually played a whole lot of, so it's going to be interesting for me. It's going to be like almost a first look. I have played it in the past, but I've never played a lot of it, so this is going to be really interesting for me to have a look at. But yeah, before I finish off on this video, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who supported the channel. Thank you so much for sticking around, subscribing, liking the videos, and please comment down below your opinions on the Jak series as a whole, if you agree with me or disagree with me. I love seeing comments down below and interacting with you all, so yeah, thank you for all the support. Also, I now have a second channel, so if you've subscribed in the past for videos like my Steam Deck video or my FC25 on the Switch video, then that's where all those sort of videos are going to be now. This is just going to be strictly retrospectives on this channel, so yeah, I'll leave a link down below for my second channel. It's called DannyBY2, because, you know, I'm clever. But yeah, so if you like those types of videos, that's where they'll be. And the retrospectives will be here, they will stay here, and next up is Jak 3. I don't know when it's going to be out yet, I've got a few things going on. The best way to keep up to date with the channel though is just to subscribe, because I post a lot in the community tab. I don't really post on my social media about updates about the channel. Best place to be is to be right here on the channel, so go and click that subscribe button. Please leave a like, please comment down below what your thoughts were on the video or just the Jak and Daxter series as a whole. And yeah, there's not much else to say. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you when I see you.